Why is it that two people can play classical guitar for the same amount of time, but end up in completely different places? One can go out and play beautiful classical guitar recitals, play for hours, and the other person, is stuck at learning basic songs. Well, after teaching thousands of people classical guitar through my online guitar school, Classical Mastery, I found that there's three major things that hold your playing back. So what I'm going to do in this video is go over those three major things that are holding your classical guitar playing back. Now you want to stick around to the end because the third one is something that you probably haven't been thinking about. Now the first thing holding your playing back is tension. This isn't about your left hand finger tension, how hard you're pressing. It's not about your right hand. It's your overall body tension. See, a lot of times as we're playing classical guitar, we really tense up and it goes into our playing. It makes our playing sound bad. So when you're playing classical guitar, you want to make sure that you're relaxing your whole body. Now, I'll tell you myself, when I do play classical guitar, when I used to get ready for shows, all that stuff, I would always really tense up my shoulders. So I would tense up my shoulders, I'd tense up my arms, and it wouldn't let me be fluent with my fingers. And it would really just affect my playing. So the way I got over this is by just thinking about it. I know it sounds kind of stupid, but by just thinking about it and by making the effort, that's what's going to help your playing. So what you do before you start playing a song, before you practice, before you play whatever, you just sit there and you think, okay, think about your shoulders, relax your shoulders. Instead of having your shoulders up, put them down a little bit. Do the same for your legs, do the same for everything. And make sure you're in a relaxed position. Now, obviously throughout these videos, I am holding the guitar in just, this basic acoustic guitar position. But if you're in, the proper classical guitar position, do the exact same thing. Relax all these parts of your body. Now, it can be in other parts of your body as well. For example, a lot of people will really tense up their thumb. Now, this is a major thing because what they'll do is with their thumb, they'll tense it up and a lot of times it'll be almost at the top of the guitar. And what's going to happen is if you're tensing up your thumb, it's not going to be able to fluently move when you go up and down the guitar fretboard, and it's going to make you just have this weird finger position. So that's why it's so important to think about the tension there as well. So after you've relaxed your shoulders, after you've relaxed your body, think about your thumb, relax it, put it behind the neck and just try to relax as much as possible. One of my guitar teachers always said, if you feel like you're tensing up, imagine you're holding a tennis ball and then just let go of your hand. And that's going to relax your wrist, it's going to relax your arm, your shoulder and all that. And then after that, go back on the guitar. So I recommend doing this a lot of times too. Let's say you're going through a classical guitar song. And let's say you're tensing up, you're just not feeling good. So what I will have you do is I'll just have you pause, relax, pretend you're holding a tennis ball, let go. And then after that, go back down. And when you're doing this and you're relaxing and you're really thinking about your tension, then you can think about your thumb placement as well, because that's one of the major issues classical guitarists have. So then you relax, put your thumb in the right position and get ready there. Okay, the second thing is playing notes and not music. Now, people say this all the time. What does it mean playing notes and not music? Well, with classical guitar, there's so many different things happening at the same time. Usually you have bass lines, you have melody lines. You want to make sure that all of these lines are heard throughout the music. You see this a lot of times in Bach and even, the song Lagrima, for example. I always like to talk about this one. When you have, something like this, you have that melody, you have that bass, and you have your accompaniment notes as well. Now, what a lot of people will do is they'll just play the notes. They'll just play this melody, they'll just play this bass, the accompaniment note. And, it's just like you're on Guitar Pro or whatever, and every note sounds the exact same. But what great classical guitarists do is they focus on all of those individual lines. So you want to make sure that you hear this melody line and it has its own voice, because at the end of the day you're just playing these different voices. It's like you have a singer playing the bass, you have a singer singing the melody and the accompaniment note. You want to make sure that all of these lines sing. So you have this melody, it should have a little bit of vibrato, you have the bass, and then you have the accompaniment notes as well. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you hear all of these lines as you're playing classical guitar pieces. Now, at the same time, you want to make sure that all of the notes aren't getting cut off. You want to make sure you have the melody doesn't get cut off, the bass doesn't get cut off, and as well as the accompaniment notes until you're supposed to stop holding them. This is probably the most important thing when it comes to having great sounding classical guitar playing, and that is making sure that you are playing music, you are not just playing notes. When it comes to a little side thing, but the harpsichord, right? Now, that's an instrument, especially the earlier versions of the harpsichord, you couldn't actually add dynamics in this instrument because what would happen is it only had one volume level. But there's still so many ways you can add musical elements to that. And it's the same with guitar. You can stretch the rhythm. You can add time in between notes. Wouldn't say you do that in that song, but there's all these things you can do. There's so many ways you can make your playing sound musical. Okay, the third thing that is kind of destroying your progress is unfocused practice. You want to make sure that when you are practicing, you're giving it your best effort, because you don't always need to practice crazy hours, right? If you just have a focused practice session for 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, however long it is, and you're really, really focused, that's going to be so much more beneficial than, 3, 4, 5 hours of unfocused practice. And when you're practicing, you're always having goals. You need to be thinking about your short-term goals, your long-term goals. What do you want to learn that day? What do you want to learn a year from now, 10 years from now? By having these goals in your mind, it's going to help you out so much as you continue to learn classical guitar. So it's so important that you're always thinking about your goals and you're having focused practice. Now, a bonus tip to improve your playing, so this isn't something holding you back, but just a way to improve your playing, is to record yourself. Because it's crazy to actually, listen back to a recording, and sometimes, you'll catch so many mistakes you made, so many ways you can improve that, you didn't think about in the first place. So one way to improve your playing is just start recording your playing. So after you learn a song, go out there and, record yourself. It could even just be in your room, just record, and then listen back to it and see where you can improve. Take a notepad out. I could play this better. I could do that better. By recording yourself, you are really going to hear your playing, and it's going to help you improve it. So those are 3 ways to improve your classical guitar playing. Now, I'm Andrew Seekin. I'm the founder of classicalmastery.com, one of the world's biggest online classical guitar schools, where we teach using the revolutionary 5-step song learning method, and also give students the option to learn classical guitar pieces with tab. Now, we have songs all the way from, your first classical guitar song to Asturias. And we teach in this 5-step song learning process where you learn each step and you have backing tracks to practice along with, and then you slowly just get better and better. And we have, like I said, 5 different levels. This program took us, years to develop. It was nuts. So if you're interested in continuing to learn with me, then I want you to check out the description for the full classical mastery program. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Make sure to subscribe down below because we post every single week.